It's how we run. What's how we run this podcast. And then, so you guys are ready to go live?
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't say anything stupid.
Well, it's live.
Let's give them something to talk about. I see the energy running out. I got a planet to run around. Okay. You ain't do nothing but run your mouth. No, I don't want to be humble now. You doubted me, nothing to talk about.
That's our intro, by the way.
I love it.
Super official.
Yeah. So there's two people on the screen. I know everybody expected one. Sorry that we didn't give marquee status to Debbie Wagner. I think Matt probably felt guilty that she's doing all the work and he's getting all the PR.
All the FaceTime, yeah.
I tried to get off of it, get out of this. I wasn't
Right. And I suspect he's like, hey, oh yeah, by the way, I have a podcast, and she gave him that look like, okay, so you're the face of all of this.
Yep.
The look on his face.
Yeah, I'll be in here. I'll be in here in the office doing all the work while you go do your podcast.
Uh-huh.
Right. And it was about that 5-minute notice, just like you were given.
Hey, why don't you come over?
Why don't you come over? So then what he's trying to do is appease you by inviting you in at the last minute. And so now you can't say, you never invite me to these things. You never put me out there. You can't say that anymore. So well done, Matt. See, you got that in your back pocket. I know.
Right.
By the way, I know all of these things because I've been married for 30 plus years. And my wife is kind of the nuts and bolts of the operation here at Diablo. And I'm the front man. I get all the I told her that when I went down to the Broken Science Conference. She goes, where are you going? I go down to the Broken Science Conference. What are you doing down there? Well, Greg Glassman and Savon and Matt Souza and all the OGs, Dale King from Doc Spartan, and a number of other OGs are going to be down there. Why are you going down there?
Does she have a little FOMO?
Well, no, not really. But she's just like, why are you going down there? Well, because I got to see all these people. I want to see what Greg Glassman's up to. I need to stay in touch with all these things. Okay, and I know what she's thinking. I'll stay here and make sure the gym gets open, make sure classes get run. And then the worst is on Saturday night, one of our coaches wanted to have a movie night and invited, all the teen athletes.
Oh, that's right.
Turned out there was like about 45, 50 people here for the movie night. Yeah. So my wife, who had come, worked, and then trained, had to stay because, you can't have
a long day.
50 people loose in your gym. And I'm down at the Broken Science Conference having sushi and drinking beer.
So she's adulting and you're playing?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So Matt does the playing and you do the adulting, Debbie?
Yep, that's how
Pretty
it works.
Yep. She took a call literally as we were getting ready for this. She took a call from the financial director at the prison just walked. Yeah, you handle that.
Yeah, Matt's doing the important podcasting stuff.
You
You got to get the story out. Like, people don't
Right.
understand how important branding is, and positioning.
Yeah.
Those things are essential to this life, but they just don't understand how important it is to shake people's hands and meet and greet and have fun and drink beers and do dinners. Those things are essential.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
So, just real quick on the Broken Science thing, I actually didn't get an invite. What I saw was it came up, and then I forgot to get an invite, or forgot to apply for an
I
invitation.
was going to say, it was like a sign-up form.
Yeah, it was
wasn't
sign up. They only were going to take 100 people. 100 people signed up
Okay.
right away. One of our members did. Dana did, and then
Oh,
and so then everybody was messaging me. A bunch of the OGs were messaging me, "Hey, you going? Well, I'm like, well, I didn't really get an invite, and I forgot to ask for an invite. So then I messaged an insider, Emily Kaplan, and she said, "Yeah, absolutely, come down." So it was a cool event. It was great to see the OGs. It didn't go long, but I did want to just kind of talk about what the initiative is real quick before we get into the meat of this presentation. The Broken Science Initiative is an effort by Greg Glassman and his partner in it, Emily Kaplan, to draw attention to not that science is broken, but the amount of broken science, meaning flawed, essentially research that is being produced at an incredible volume or incredible amount, and that it's being accepted as science, or when it is discovered to be flawed or misrepresented or even fraud, it's not retracted or erased. It's just simply
Corrected or anything?
no, it's none. It's just simply like allowed to exist, but just kind of because there's so much more new research coming out, new research reports coming out, that's just so simply forgotten. But it goes down and on into archives as science, and then it gets parroted back when it's convenient by various different news organizations, and it's exacerbated by social media, which calls it science or the science. And so what they're trying to do is draw attention to true scientific applications, and making sure that reporting that is done is not consensus science or peer reviewed only, that it actually follows the established protocols for science, observational, repeatable.
That's a big part.
Yeah. And what's interesting, and they, so they gave a bunch of examples that were just, again, mind-boggling. We've seen a lot of this over the last 10 years, especially, but there's an acceleration in research that's being produced by professors, by researchers as a result of institutional pressure, mostly educational institutions that are keen on producing new research on an ongoing basis because it's how they receive grants for the work that they do. So there's an exorbitant amount of research that's being just produced. Like that's one makes it overwhelming, and the only way they get it validated is they don't get it validated in a traditional sense. They get it validated by having peers review it, and then you get kind of like the check mark of, the quality of science is measured by the number of people that review it, not necessarily by whether it's accurate or not.
Well, it was like the NSCA's peer-reviewed thing about CrossFit being dangerous.
That's right.
That was a peer-reviewed
Study.
journal.
That's right.
Yeah.
And no one actually looked into whether or not the people that were participating in the study finished the actual study, whether they followed and whether or not they were followed up with afterwards and found out what actually happened. It's really fascinating what's happening in the world of scientific research. And what's happening is that a study will be done and then it's promoted as fact or science without it being demonstrated as replicatable, without it being able to be done again. And there's no control trials done. There's no placebo trials done in a lot of cases. So it's really fascinating. And really, I think what I walked away with is be skeptical when you see reports, when you see information or advice about how a drug is saving lives. For example, today in my news feed, I read a report that AstraZeneca has launched a new drug that after having lung cancer surgery, you have to have had the cancer removed. This drug gave you a 50% less chance of dying within 5 years after. So I like, oh wow, that sounds amazing. And they're touting this as like, let's get this to the market as quick as possible.
Standard.
Yeah. 621 people in India that had this surgery, and then afterwards were given this drug. What they found out was, it was fascinating because I read the results. I'm like, man, how did they get to these numbers? And it was 68% of the people after having this drug for 5 years after having surgery had survived. 32% obviously died. The people that were given the placebo, so I'm thinking this is going to be right. So you do half of that. The people that were given placebo was 58 people. Or 58%. I'm sorry, 58% of people survived with just the placebo. And so there's literally a difference of 10% of people. And yet there was no data in terms of lifestyles, whether or not they stayed on the medication on an ongoing basis.
All the other variables.
Right, whether they changed their diet, whether they were moved out of the area they were living in, whether there was other pollutants or particles in the air. Like all of those things weren't included in the information that was being published. It was very fascinating. So now I'm turning into the ultimate skeptic, which I was already kind of.
I was going to say,
you're kind of a tinfoil hat skeptic anyway. I know, but it just
reinforces your.
But anyway,
your
so if anyone wants to know what the Broken Science Initiative is, that's what they're doing. They're really trying to draw attention. All they're trying to do is make science better.
Yeah.
Get rid of shit science.
Yeah.
Or get rid of shit work that calls itself science.
And potentially, mostly is industry funded science.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Industry funded. Well, that's the other reason for the exorbitant amount of research that's being done, and in science that's being done is you have a lot of corporations with vested interests in that research
That are running their own studies and
they're running their own studies and then giving money to colleges and universities to do those studies.
Mhm.
Yep. Big pharma.
That's what the Broken Science Initiative is in really kind of layman's
are they doing more of those
uneducated terms.
Are they doing more of the Broken Science conferences?
Yes, they're going to do them around the country. They're slowly kind of increasing those.
Cool.
Yeah, we went to one. They had one in Hillsdale College, Michigan, about 3 months ago or 4 months ago that we went up to. So it was Greg, and then he had a doctor with him. One of the individuals I think he tours a lot with and does these larger Broken Science reviews. It was a great evening. But we roll in, everyone's dressed up. Everyone's dressed up.
Except for the CrossFitters, right?
Yeah.
Everyone. No. Even the CrossFitters were dressed up, except for
Our carload.
this guy. So I roll in a t-shirt and sweatpants at a dinner that had white cloth tabletops. They had the wine glasses, the champagne. Full service from front to end. Greg was in a sports jacket. Everyone was dressed up except for this dude.
It was the Hillsdale
Hillsdale College,
Presidential Club.
Yeah,
So
it was the
all the
Presidential Club.
retirees came back all dressed to the
Oh,
nines.
man.
Oh yeah.
So think like Kennedys, and then
Yeah. I roll in t-shirt and sweatpants.
Yeah, right on, dude.
I mean, you thought you were going to a CrossFit thing, right?
What do you do?
It is challenging. That said, it is challenging with CrossFit events. You never know how to dress because, like, you could end up going somewhere and end up having to do a workout.
Yeah.
I always wear clothes that I can make a quick switch and work because you never know.
Or just have some pants, like some jeans that have some stretch that you can squat in and not blow out the bottom.
Yes.
when Dale walked out in a button-down shirt, I knew we were in trouble.
Yeah, Dale King was there.
Oh,
He
Dale
was in,
King, yeah.
I was like, what are you doing?
Perfect.
That's great. I saw Dale King. I saw him this weekend. He was down there. That's cool. Anyway, that's not why we had you on. I just wanted to talk about that just in case anybody wanted to know what the Broken Science Initiative was. Matt Shindeldecker and I have known each other probably 5 years, maybe longer.
6 years, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe 6 years. We connected at the CrossFit Games, both parked RVs there and hung out together. And he owns CrossFit Crave in Ohio. Mm-hmm. And what town is that in Ohio?
Salina, Ohio.
Yeah. It's good you said because I was thinking Salina, and
that's Southern California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we've just kind of hung out every year, and I really, I didn't know much about what he was doing other than he had a cool affiliate, and I followed him and he followed us, and it was just one of those things we'd exchange owner stuff and talk about athlete stuff, masters athlete stuff, a masters athlete that competes at the games. Mm-hmm. And then 2 years ago, I learned about his efforts to have an impact on the lives of kids in the probation system within Ohio. And he runs a program. Well, he and Debbie run it. And that's Debbie Wagner sitting next to him, by the way. And Debbie Wagner's the brains behind the operation.
That's right.
And
finally get some credit.
Yeah. And but their effort to bring in juveniles that are in the probation system into their CrossFit gym to do CrossFit. Mm-hmm. And he's had tremendous success over a couple year period of time. They have the lowest rate of recidivism of any juvenile program. We've talked about it on our podcast before, but if any juvenile probation program is designed to help keep the kids off the street and keep kids out of trouble, this program has been far and away the most successful program. And as a result, he's now getting significant attention within the state of Ohio to do more, including setting up a actual CrossFit affiliate within a prison in Ohio.
Yep.
Is it actually an affiliate?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep,
awesome.
we are an official affiliate. CrossFit, DYS, the Wolfpack
That's
is
awesome.
the affiliate name.
What's the DYS you said?
Yep, Division of Youth Services.
Division of Youth Services.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and it's one of what will be multiple. So we put DYS in there at the state's request because they wanted to be able to make sure that they said, hey, the affiliate and the reason we're doing CrossFit is because of the state, because of their direction. So DYS was a non-negotiable there. We had to put DYS in the name, and then the actual kids in the program named their affiliate.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So they came up with the Wolfpack.
The
Then.
Wolfpack. Yeah.
I like that. And it's in a juvenile prison. Is there a juvenile detention center?
Yep.
The juvenile, is it juvenile detention center or is it an actual juvenile prison?
It's
or
a
is
prison.
there is a distinction?
Yeah, there's a difference. It's a long-term juvenile detention center. So if you look up Cuyahoga Hills, it's a juvenile correctional facility, just like they would call an adult correctional facility. So it is what they would call a long-term detention center, long-term prison with class 3 and 4 criminals, which are the two highest felony offenses they tag to juveniles. So 3 and 4 are the murders, drugs,
More violent.
yeah, more violent,
Violent
more
crimes.
crimes. Yeah.
And so now that you have an affiliate within there, do they have a gym or did you have to build out a gym?
Yes.
Yes.
So we toured a couple of places within different facilities, and the state chose this facility to be the startup. So
Okay.
they designated the space, and we helped build the space from within the walls. Then designing equipment, layout, things like that.
So did you buy new equipment for it?
The state is purchasing the equipment for it. That's not
That's
our
awesome.
dime. We gave them the list,
So it's-
and they purchased the equipment. So they own it.
It's basically the state's affiliate in that aspect, then, right?
Yeah, I'm the LOR. So because of the way
For those of you that don't know, it's licensee of record, by the way.
yeah,
for
so
all purposes.
the way the state runs their programs, and the federal government does the same thing, is they are hiring us to come in and run the affiliate in their doors. So we're hired as, call it, contractors of the state of Ohio, and they are paying us for the affiliation. So that's built into the contract. So essentially, at the end of this, there'll be 30 locations that will have affiliates inside of the walls of the prison system, and they want that. And let's call it the next 3 to 5 years. So the state is paying the affiliation, and we are then operating the affiliate inside the walls.
Mhm.
We've hired coaching staff, which I know we'll get into, through local affiliate owners and coaches in that Cleveland, suburb of Cleveland area. That's where this prison is, just on the edge of Cleveland, Ohio.
And let's go back to the location itself. How many pull-up bars did you put in there and squat racks, and then how many barbells and dumbbells and kettlebells did you put in there?
Yep. So go ahead.
So we have contracted for 15 because of the size of the room.
15
Contracted
million.
15 per class. So it'll be
Okay.
up to 12 kids and 3 adults because they want the staff to have the opportunity to work out with them as well.
That's
So
awesome.
we're outfitting it for 15 people.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. When we were going through that process, and I know we're jumping around, but we were concerned that we would have too many adults versus the kids, because
Right.
the people, the prison staff, everyone in the facility they were so excited that the program was coming. They were, hey, sign us up.
Yeah.
So, like, we have to figure that out.
Yeah, I think that's cool too.
That's
You're
really
right. You're
cool.
gonna look. It's one of the things I say about CrossFit. It will make you better at whatever you do, whether you're an engineer, you're an accountant, you're a landscaper, whether you're a doctor,
A prison guard.
a prison guard, a stay-at-home mom, like any of those things, you're going to be better at that as a result of doing CrossFit.
I can imagine though, having them being a part of the class is only going to help give them
Build a
somebody
relationship.
to look up to
Oh,
and follow behind.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So you've got equipment and full blown CrossFit equipment, right? Are you guys doing rope climbs in there?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I like
All
that.
right.
Keyword
Good for
yet.
you. And what about like rowers and assault bikes and that kind of stuff?
Yes, we do have some of those. Not everything yet because the space is limited.
Sure.
The state actually did not know what CrossFit was other than it works. They know it's community,
Yeah.
that it's class-based, coach-led, and that it works. They didn't understand equipment. So in their eyes, they thought they could go get your
Old Smith machines, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Leg extension, hamstring
Right.
curl.
right. And inside any correctional facility in the state of Ohio, it's been outlawed since 1993 to have free weights because free weights barbells were used in a prison riot here in 1993. They used them to go through a concrete wall.
Oh, wow.
There was a riot and the staff locked themselves in the safe room within the facility, and the inmates together took the barbells through the concrete wall. And so anything free weight style had been outlawed since then.
Yeah.
So the state rewrote regulations to be able to have this type of equipment for the affiliate.
Wow.
That's a big
I just
hoop
can't
to have to jump through.
Just the
It's a huge change.
just the bureaucracy of that kind of crap. Like
Right. But their point was their job is to rehabilitate, which means teach these inmates that when they come out, how to function successfully in society. So these, whether it's a kid or an adult, you've been in 5 years or 15 years, you need to know how to come out and be somewhat tech savvy. Think of how that's changed, right? And the same thing, you're going to have access to equipment. So let's learn how to use it safely.
Well, here's the other thing too, related to that. So if you're, a CrossFitter, especially if you're a CrossFit coach, and if you see someone picking up a barbell to bash it against the wall, you'll lose your shit. What are you doing?
You get mad for somebody dropping it without weights on it.
So like by educating them on what the power of a barbell is, and then how fragile barbells can be, and then just you're dropping an empty barbell in a CrossFit gym is like you create some reverence around the barbell that perhaps maybe it won't be used for crashing through concrete walls, although our members admittedly have tried to crash them through concrete walls as well.
Well, we put quite a few barbells through the wall just from the bouncing sideways.
Yes, put it through the sheetrock.
And the kids know that this is the inaugural affiliate.
Yeah.
So everyone's watching. So they know that if one person abuses the equipment, 14 people are going to be ready to come after them because it puts the entire affiliate in danger.
That's right. That's the power of the community.
Accountability
brings everybody
accountability.
Accountability.
How many you said you have like 15 spaces, maybe half are inmates and half are guards, but how many I guess you could say classes are you guys running in the facility?
Yeah, so we started the initial start. They're running 2 classes a day, twice a week. And then they have a third, and we'll talk about that in a second, optional day on Saturday. So right now we're in there on Mondays at 9 and 1 and Thursdays at 9 and 1. And they started with 30 kids. So they identified 30 what they would call graduates. All right. So kids go into the prison at the age of 12 and 13, as young as 12 and 13. They go into this prison. They are transferred if they're in for a long duration. When they hit the age of 21, they're transferred to the adult prison. All right. So they've identified 30 kids that had finished high school in the prison system that are now graduates that are either waiting on their term to be over or for them to be transferred into the adult prison. Now, they do have jobs, cleaning and whatnot, but there's a lot of downtime, as you can imagine, for these kids. It's not like the adult prison where there's a lot of downtime for them as well, but they do have jobs that they do. They go to every single day. So they pick the graduates because the rest of the members, the rest of the kids that are in prison are in school. They're going actively to class. So they pick 30 individuals that are graduates, they'll have 15 in the morning and 15 in the afternoon, twice a week. And then we'll talk about the optional day on Saturday, which came up.
So, all right. So you're going to coach classes 5 days a week there.
Eventually, yes.
Eventually, yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So right now you're doing 3 days a week?
Yeah, twice. It started with twice.
Oh, sorry. 2 days.
So like 4 classes essentially a week,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, 4 classes.
Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry.
Yep. And then they started their own class on Saturday.
Oh, that's awesome though.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You look like it's a maybe awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you guys provide them with any of the, I guess L1 material, or like what is CrossFit, like something that they can, absorb outside of the classes?
Great question.
Yeah, we're going to get there. And that's the ultimate goal, right? That's awesome. We're in the infancy here. We're a month in to the program. We've been at this for the better part of a year, developing it with the state. So like anything, let's go to the juvenile program first, the one that we house here internally. We've had this program for 6 years, going on, 6 years. So everything starts with the grassroots of what happens in the affiliate. And that word takes time. The success of that story wasn't overnight. So we've been at the juvenile program or the prison program for a year. It was shortly after we held an event here that CrossFit came to, that the state of Ohio came to. The state sent 31 representatives from the state here to see our juvenile program. And the reason why it was successful, CrossFit came in. Shortly after that, the director of DRC, Divisions of Correction and Rehabilitation, for the adult prison system contacted us. Annette Chambers-Smith is her name. And she said, hey, I want to start this CrossFit thing in one of our adult prisons. So that's where we started. We started communicating. We actually visited Grafton State Penitentiary, which is right down the road from this Cuyahoga facility. 4,000 inmates total, 2,000 on one side of the road, 2,000 on the other side of the road. They had a space picked out. Everything was ready to go. And then there was a new director that stepped into the Division of Youth Services side. That is a bull in a china shop. And she is a sweetheart, but I would not want to cross her. She stepped in and kind of overruled Director Smith and said, no, you don't. We're starting the program. We're taking it over. And it's going to be in a juvenile correction facility first.
Wow.
Because we need these kids to be released and not come back to prison. We don't want these kids to offend into their adult life. Yeah. So she overruled the state, and they came to us and said, hey, we're changing directions. We're still going forward. We're just going to change directions. So we literally had to take 6 months worth of work, can it, and then restart with a new facility, new direction. We're still going to go back to the adult prison, which we can talk about in a second.
As an affiliate owner and a coach, I would have preferred to work with the adults rather than the kids. You guys have more experience, though, with your program being 6 years old.
Yeah.
Just because I see how challenging it has been for us over our 17 years in maintaining a consistent
teen group.
Yes, that wants to be here. Right. And I think back to when I was, 17, 18, and we all think back then, like, it was keeping us focused on any one thing, especially something that was hard work. It was difficult. I enjoyed sports and fitness, but I was always chasing whatever the latest, greatest thing was.
I was going to say, I feel like these kids probably want to be there because, where else are they going to go if they're stuck?
Well, yes and no. I don't know, Matt. Would you guys have preferred this start with adults or with kids?
I think either. There's positive and negatives to both.
Yeah.
For the kids, when we went in, we actually presented it to all of the graduates, and they did a sign up, and they did first come, first serve for 30 kids. Okay. So there is a wait list.
Oh, wow.
If they don't show up every day, it's not if they miss a day, but if they start not showing up or they come in with an attitude or whatever, then you don't have to be here. This isn't mandatory.
Okay.
You choose to be here, and we choose to let you be here based on your community equality consistency of showing up, because that's how we run everything.
Why do you think why do you think there is a wait list, and why do you think they wanted to be there? Truly.
A lot of reasons. First of all, not being rude, but our coaches are female. They're boys. You've got females coming in. So that piqued the interest right away.
Yep.
They love fitness. So it's additional time in the gym.
Yeah.
And we talked to them about exactly what you said, Craig. CrossFit helps you be better at everything.
Yeah.
Right.
So whatever your thing is. And they've noticed within the first 2 days, they could talk to us about, I slept so much better.
Oh.
And talking about those benefits. So we may not get to the 9, fundamental movements of CrossFit right away, but we're getting to the benefits of CrossFit right away and talking about that every day with them and with the social worker who does their group counseling there and with the staff. So the staff is already seeing a reduction in incident rates because they're too tired to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other side of that too is the staff. When we talk to the staff first, almost every staff member there has heard of CrossFit. Maybe one out of the entire staff of 100 people had ever done CrossFit. So they'd heard about it. When we talked to the kids before we ever started, and I would say maybe a quarter, less than that, an eighth of the 40 kids that were in that room had heard of CrossFit.
Right.
But the staff started talking about it every day. Like, hey, when's that CrossFit program start, to the kids and to other staff members? And then the kids started talking about it. They had no idea what CrossFit was. The kids most of them had no clue. Had never been in a CrossFit class before.
That's awesome.
But back to your original question, me personally, I would have loved to start in the adult side of it.
Yeah.
Because adult behaviors,
and I think for me, it's just like, who's going to be easiest to teach and coach?
Yeah, adults.
That's only based on my experience here. What about tell me about your coaches that are willing to go into the detention center, prison to coach classes? How was there a waiting list for that?
No, there wasn't.
Yeah.
CrossFit Distinction is an affiliate that is like 1.5 miles from the facility, right? Again, we're Cleveland. So we had a really good opportunity there. And I want to give them just a huge shout out because the reason this is successful is because of their staff. The team that is in CrossFit Distinction stepped up right away and said, hey, we'll do it. Now, had we talked to other affiliates? Absolutely. We'd talked to other affiliates. But when we settled on CrossFit Distinction,
they settled by letting us help them.
They settled by letting us, right. Going into it, if you look at, and I think I can talk about this. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Jimmy.
If you go to their coaching,
they got a cool logo too.
They do.
Oh, I
like their logo.
Yeah. So when we work with, as you guys know, when we work with affiliates to start a juvenile program inside the affiliate, or we work with an affiliate like this, it has to be, it's not about, you're not going to get rich. We know that, right? It has to be about, do I want to make a change in someone's life? And if the answer is yes, then at what level? Adults or kids? Because kids can be much more difficult than adults. And the coaching staff there, and I'll, Chrissy, for example, she's a former addict. So she's pulled herself out of what was hell at some point for her. And the first thing she said to the group was, hey, how can I give back? Because I know what it's like to come out of that situation. One of the other ones, Mel, one of the other two coaches that are going to be in there, she's got a felony from years and years ago. So you've got two coaches that say, hey, I get it. I've been there. I know what it takes. But I also know what CrossFit's done in my life, and I know it can work in someone else's life.
Right. Here's thank you to them, and thank you CrossFit Distinction for stepping up and doing this.
Way before
and putting your coaches out there for this. That's outstanding. The one of the things that resonates with me is is the give back.
Yeah.
And that sense of satisfaction you get. But here's the other thing that's again, another thing that I've said about CrossFit and why Diablo has started a similar program, is working on getting a program up and running similar to Matt's Juvenile program, is that CrossFit offers a tremendous opportunity for not only making yourself better as a human, but also then becoming part of a very healthy, positive mindset community. It's remarkable what happens in these CrossFit gyms. People are welcoming and friendly, literally just as a result of being part of this community. I've seen people go from introverts. You guys have seen it in your gym. People go from introverts. They walk in, they don't say hi to anyone, they got the head down, to becoming some of the most charming, outgoing, welcoming people that we have. So you get to be part of that, right? Which is I'm sure in most of these kids' lives, there's not a lot of that, if any at all. Then from there, you get an opportunity perhaps to be a CrossFit coach. What do you got to do to be a CrossFit coach? One, you got to be, doing CrossFit. You got to do it for a certain amount of time, maybe 6 months, probably a year. There's people that have done it faster than that. Then you get an L1 certification. And an L1 certification is $1,000, and it's 2 days, and you can be a CrossFit coach. And if anybody thinks, well, you're not qualified to coach CrossFit, there's many, many coaches. Some of the best coaches in CrossFit are just L1s.
Yeah. There's also a lot of people that are qualified on paper that.
Right. Right. So that shouldn't be coaching. Good point. The opposite is also true. But so now you've got a career path, a potential career path of being a CrossFit coach. Like, and you don't, I don't ask people.
There's a future too.
Yeah. I don't ask people for when they come into coach. I don't ask, hey, what's your high school background? What'd you get? What were your grades in high school? I don't ask that question.
Mm-hmm.
I would look at how they move and how well they're good, how good they are at relating to other people, and then how much they know about CrossFit. And then we test them. We have them shadow and do all those things. Then the next thing from there is, if you want to continue, you have an opportunity to be a business owner. You can own your own, you can start your own affiliate, and it doesn't take a lot of money to start your own affiliate. And so now you got an opportunity, and again, no education required. No one gives a shit about your background. You got 2 coaches, one that's a former addict and one that's got a felony on a record, that are your coaches in that program. Yeah. I do background checks on our coaches here, any of the coaches that are going to be working with kids. But those things, anytime there's something that pops up, or when we've done it for everybody here, if something pops up, I just sit down and have a conversation with them about it.
Yeah.
And it's not used to determine whether or not they could, it's used to determine whether or not, they still have an issue or not.
Fit, right?
Yeah. But so you get a chance to become a coach, an owner. And then the third thing, which is more remote, and I don't necessarily promote this, but if they show real adeptness at CrossFit, they have a chance to become an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And what other business can you, do you have that type of opportunity that literally almost ignores where you came from?
Right.
Few other places. That's what makes this align so nicely for this type of program. Anyway, I'll stop preaching to the choir here.
No.
But that's kind of a cool thing. I love that these coaches that you got have some desire to give back and are reflecting upon their own personal experiences as part of it, because that's going to make them so powerful in front of these kids, so relatable.
Yeah.
Don't tell me about your addiction. I'll tell you about mine.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And that was one of the important pieces, the community that you're talking about, the ability, what you just went through, the ability for an athlete inside the prison to do something outside of the prison in the CrossFit world. Was probably the strongest, if you want to call it a selling point, to the business side of it, to the state of Ohio, because they have programs inside of the prison today already. They do softball, they do different activities, they have all of that, but they don't have a program. It's no different than when an adult gets dropped out of prison. They get a $100 bill and get the clothes they came in with, and they get a ticket purchased, a bus ticket purchased to go back to wherever they want to go back to. That's all of the adult prisons get. The kids, when they're released, they get less than that. They get the clothes they came in with when they were picked up and brought to the prison door. That's it. So what the state said is, hey, how do we find a program that will help reintegration back into society?
Yeah.
So we started right away saying, well, listen, why don't we work with you, the state of Ohio, and the local affiliate where these kids, when they get released, are going back to. So they have a home that's consistent because they just did CrossFit inside the walls that will give them a community that will support them. But guess what? That costs money. So the state's like, great. At a very minimum, anyone that's released is on parole for a minimum of a year, if not longer, depending on their offense. So we will pay for their CrossFit membership to the affiliate that they look up to.
That's amazing.
For the term that they're on parole. No different than that's the reason our probation program is so successful, right?
That's amazing.
Dude, I in a heartbeat, if some kid came out of a program like that with an L1, walked in here and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a job," I'd give him a job almost instantaneously.
Yeah. I mean,
first of all, there's lots. This is one of the bigger complaints within CrossFit itself is that there's a shortage of L1s, or there's not a shortage of L1s. There's a shortage of qualified coaches.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of affiliates don't even know how to find them.
Right.
And it's something that CrossFit, I know is working on creating some sort of job board, centralized job board. But there are a shortage of coaches, and there's a lot of affiliates that are for sale.
Yeah,
right.
that where affiliates are looking for someone to take it over and buy it.
Yeah.
And this is like a perfect matchup of those two needs.
Right.
You see a need, fill a need. There's your fill a need.
Yeah.
So for these kids,
spectrum.
Yeah.
It's just like any adult. The hardest thing to do is walk through the door the first time.
Yeah.
11 years ago today, I came through the doors of this gym for the first time.
Yeah.
11 years ago.
Today?
Today.
Happy anniversary.
Today.
Oh crap.
So, and I tried to walk out.
This is awesome.
I looked at the people and I was like, oh, those abs are not airbrushed. I cannot make it, right? But you're through the door.
Yeah.
And so part of the job with these kids is before they're released, we find that affiliate who has the heart. Just like you guys said, how do you find the coaches with the right heart? You go drop in there, right? We've dropped into affiliates in that Cleveland area and said, nope, yes. Right? As soon as we were at Distinction, I hate dropping in because I am the world's biggest introvert. And I couldn't wait to go back and drop in again the next day. I knew these guys had the heart we needed. And it's the same thing. As the kids get ready to be released 6 months prior to their release, we start working in their home area to find that gym, to make sure the coaches are trained for these kids who are coming out who have trauma.
The trauma training.
Right. And then we start to integrate them. So we're going to have the affiliate owner come and visit them and introduce themselves at the facility. So on the kids' turf right now.
Yep.
And then as the kids start to have, like if they have a weekend pass, then when they have their weekend pass, they're going to come in, walk around the affiliate, see what it's like without anybody here, just the owners and maybe a couple coaches, to start to break those barriers down.
Yep. So as part of that reintegration process, we want to bring the affiliate in and visit and then participate in a class and work out with a young man so they can meet. There's a face there. They understand where this young man is coming to. And then as they get closer to release, they start to allow them to have a single weekend pass. So they can, because some of these kids, they're 18, they don't have a place to go back to. So they got to find their parole officer, and then they got to figure out, where am I going to live if I can't live at home? They got to figure all that out. So then they'll go to the affiliate, like Debbie said, and they'll participate potentially in one of their classes or meet with the owner and kind of go from there. So it's a complete handoff from inside of the affiliate walls to in the prison to inside the affiliate walls in our community. And that's where we see it successful.
It's from one support system to another.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them they're not looking forward to what they're going home to.
Right.
That environment landed in there. We've got one of the kids, since he's been there, he was able to he got a 2-week release to pull his mom off of hospice.
Off of life support.
He was the deciding factor because he was the only next of kin. Attended her service, went right back into the facility. What does he have to look forward to when he goes home? There's no family.
Yeah.
That's it. His mom was all he had. She's gone.
Yeah.
If we don't want him in the system for the rest of his life, we have to figure out how to provide him a support system to show him you don't have to live that same way the rest of your life. You are capable, you have value, and here's what you need to do to go forth.
That's right.
When I worked with the local youth foster home system that was our organization that was helping kids transition from out of foster care into self-reliance, because once they turn 18, they're out of the foster system. One of the things that they said, and what they came in, did a tour and checked us out, because they said the biggest issue is trust issues, because these kids are abandoned by, throughout their lives. Anybody that's come into their lives to help them or provide for them has literally, is gone within a short period of time. And so they have major trust issues with anything. And you guys are breaking that barrier down.
Yeah, we're trying. These are.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
We've got a program that so I started as a result of my conversation with Matt. We started conversations with our county and through a Superior Court judge that actually works out here, and she made the references. And so we've got what started as we thought would be a potential of 6 kids to come do a tour immediately. And this is the challenges that affiliates are going to face. And this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about and have you talk to on this podcast about, is how affiliates get involved in this. For us, it's been now, I'm probably about 6 months.
I was just going to say,
we're about 6 months into this process of starting to work with.
From when you first started talking with the judge.
Yeah, with the judge and the probation center. So it's 6 months. And we now have our first kid in. So it was going to be 6 kids come do a tour with the probation officers. And that's what they said. Look, they're nervous. They don't want to come do a class. What they want to come do is a tour and see. And I said, okay. During a busy time or a quiet time? And they said, well, yeah, they want to see during a busy time. They want to see how this thing goes. So, okay, but the day of the tour. So I'm excited. They're going to come and we're going to get these 6 kids in. I get a text from the head of probation with Contra Costa County, and she said, look, it's only going to be 1 kid. The other 5 kids don't want to come. Really? Yeah, they didn't have enough of an interest. They didn't think that the exercise was something they wanted to do. So 1 kid came. And he came with 2 probation officers, and just a great, I met him, and he's just a really nice kid, very respectful. And it was sad. At one point when we turned the corner, we walked down on the turf and headed down the turf, and I looked down, and I noticed he had an ankle bracelet on, and it broke my heart. But he's signed, so we've got him signed up. So instead of doing a class type program, a group of kids, we're taking him in as a private. Yeah, as in our private. We're going to do private sessions with him. Just the startup. We're going to put him through just like a regular member. We're essentially going to give him a scholarship to Diablo, and he's excited. He starts, I think, today.
That's awesome.
So that's how we're going to get started. We're going to prove it out through 1 kid, and then maybe it'll be 2, and then maybe it'll be 3, and maybe it'll be 4 after that.
I can imagine that, like, once he goes through it and kind of gets some exposure, like you guys said, they'll sleep better, and there's all these other, side benefits that they will go through and experience. And once that word gets out, then more will come.
And the probation officers that came, you could tell they were skeptics.
Really?
Oh yeah. They're giving us the eye, I broke them down a little bit. They relaxed a little bit by then. But you walk in, like Debbie said, you walk into a CrossFit gym, it's intimidating. Yeah. You walk in, and I told them that you're gonna walk out you're gonna see, because they came at 4:30.
Yeah, that's a busy
and there was 20 kids. There's 20 teens in our team class in one room, and then we had a gym full of like another 22 members, dropping weights and doing all that stuff, and they all look amazing. And they all look like they know what they're doing. And I said, look, you're going to see some incredibly fit people everywhere you go that look like they know what they're doing. And that's because it works, and because it's fun, and they have a community here that supports them.
That's right.
So the parole officers came in looking skeptical, but how did they look going out?
They were great on the way out. And they were really good. And they helped us get him signed up, and
that's awesome.
Get him connected. His mom filled out the waiver as a guardian. She did it remotely. It was great. So it's good. But coming to that, so for me, I'm 6 months in, and I've got 1 kid now, and Diablo is subsidizing it, which we'll continue to do. I'm not granted any support from the county or the state. It would be welcome, but that's not going to hold me back from doing a program like this. And my community wants to support as well. Like if I told the community, hey, we need financial support, that you know our people. They'd be, I don't want to do that, but we've got enough room and capacity to be able to take care of a number of these kids. But how should an affiliate get started, Debbie or Matt, in doing something like this? Where do they start? Do they just call, go, hey, I own a CrossFit gym. We'd like kids come in here.
I'm going to let Debbie answer that. I want to go back to the start of what you did there, Craig. And I know it's 6 months and we've got the first person in the door. If I remember right, it took you to reach out to the judge to make that contact, right?
Yes.
And you guys say this more eloquently than I can, so I'm going to screw this up. From what I hear a lot out of CrossFit, and we're in our 13th year here at CrossFit Crave. We're in a very small community, 10,000 people, and we're semi-successful, I would say, in 13 years. What I've always heard is, hey, you really can't go after the big fish. You really can't go after institutions to talk about CrossFit. It's got to be grassroots. It's got to be somebody internally to go out and say, hey, try CrossFit. And then they tell their friends and they tell their friends. And there's this, in my opinion, there's what we've learned over the last 2 years now of running these programs. There's a misinterpretation. If you don't ask, you will never know. Mm-hmm. If you don't ask. And I think we've done let's not ask, let's just let it be driven by grassroots. And what we find is just the reverse of that. You ask the question to your judge, and that's what kicked off the conversation. In every sense of the questions that we've gone to counties or to whether it's federal or state and asked the question about, hey, do you want a pro-social program? We've been turned down one time. We've contacted 14. We've been in 14 different states, over 130 affiliates. One of those two, what's that?
2 countries.
Yeah, 2 countries. One county said, hey, yeah, we're not interested. Thanks. So what I'm trying to say that is, I think from an institutionalized program, I wish 6 years ago, now we didn't have the data, which we have the data now, we would have been more active to say, hey, let me ask the question instead of just sitting back and letting it happen organically. I know there's a lot of, hey, why don't we have CrossFit inside of schools? Well, you can't do that because, that's just not the way it works. If you don't know, if you don't try, you don't know.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I'll let Debbie explain. I didn't say that very eloquently. My point is, I think there's more opportunities for CrossFit and CrossFit affiliates out there, but we're holding ourselves back because we're not willing to go after it.
Yeah.
We want to open our garage door and expect them to come in without us going and saying, hey, we have a garage door open, come on in.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Craig, it's important to note too, our program was running for 4 years before. It never dawned on us to say, hey, call another affiliate and show them how to do it. Yeah. It like, how did we not think about that? Right.
Yeah.
And in 6 months, you are the first affiliate. And I can tell you this because this is what I breathe. You are the first affiliate in the state to have one person
in the state of California
from a juvenile. Yes. In the state of California, one person from a juvenile probation into your affiliate for this program. You're the only one.
Because you're the only one that's reached out and said, hey,
right.
what about
so it
me?
Starts with one. So we started our program, and like Matt said, now we're working with over 130 affiliates. So if there's more than 130 affiliates, you can get a hold of me. I already don't sleep, so send me an email to Debbie, DEBBIE at CrossFitCrave.com.
Okay.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can contact probably Debbie on Instagram, direct message.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And put up that information underneath their name, under the Matt and Debbie, so that people can see it when they come back and find it on the. They can see it when they scroll back in the YouTube or the Facebook posts. Yep. That's awesome. What I'm going to do, so that here's the other part I want to get into, because this represents an opportunity for affiliate owners other than just helping. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to talk to I'm getting together with Katie Hogan, who is our West Regional rep out here, and I'm going to spend some time with her talking about the program as well, because we need to get more. We need more. We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be the only one.
Oh, no way.
Right. And you think about what's happening in California and the crime rates that are getting out of hand here, and the impact it could have on people's lives here would be just monumental.
Yeah.
And it's literally just a matter of rallying the affiliate owners. But talk about the financial, like it's not a financial output on your, like, it's not a loss for CrossFit Crave. It's been a source of revenue, a meaningful revenue. And that's not why you do it, but that's certainly, if you, you got to get out of bed and you got to, feed your family, pay your bills, take your gym. It's and if you're not getting paid and you're doing all that work and you're helping others, eventually, you're going to get burned out.
And then you can't help provide
then you can't
opportunities for the future kids.
So if you can talk about the financial impact that it's had, that you've gotten and been able to secure with the state or with the county in order to help you run your programs.
Okay, so this is one of the things that we help affiliates do with the county, is bridge the gap to figure this out, because we got to have our lights on to be able to unlock the doors, to do everything. So every state has money set aside for rehabilitation for offenders, juvenile, adult, institutionalized, whatever. What we do is we help find the verbiage and that pot of money for the affiliate. So here at CrossFit Crave, we average typically 15 juveniles per class. So our class personally runs 4 days a week right after school, an average of 15 kids. And that's based on the location of our gym in the county, transportation, other activities the kids are in, things like that. We help the probation staff decide which kids are ready for CrossFit, meaning they're not going to throw the barbell through the wall, things like that.
Yeah.
And what the state does is that average of 15 times our membership is the budget. So for the affiliate owner, let's say you have 10 kids coming in your class and your rate is $100 a month. You take 100 times 10, and that's what the bill is that goes to the county. That's what's written in their probation budget for the year. And every month you get that bill. So you're adding 10 members per month right off the bat. Now, those kids, just like you were saying, just like any member, they go home and love to talk about CrossFit, how sore they are, all the things.
Yeah.
And when they go to school, they start to realize what teachers know what CrossFit is. So now they start talking to them. Then they talk to the other teachers who are listening to that conversation. Now you've got new teachers as members. You have principals. You have school resource officers. You have parents. So you have that base revenue coming in just off of the number of kids that you average. That's non-negotiable, and that is recession proof. So even when we were shut down because of COVID, we did Zoom workouts. They sucked, but we did them. And that revenue kept coming in for the gym day in, day out, day over.
Never missed a monthly payment through that process. In the time frame, you said, your program, you've got one individual coming in and it's taken 6 months. What we find is a lot of this is we're introducing mid-fiscal year for the state. And remember, we're dealing with a different entity. It's not mom and dad, or it's not you with a checkbook saying, hey, I'm just going to start my membership, start it today. We're working through a government agency that says, well, hey, I'm budgeted. All my, like Craig, in your instance, all of my funding is budgeted for the year. Okay, great. How do we, one, interrupt that budget? Can we do that? Which we've had success doing that. How do we find other entities outside of the probation dollars to pay for it? We've got an affiliate that received a $25,000 check for the year through their local mental health rehabilitation group, completely separate than juvenile probation. And then that ticker starts. Well, did they say, hey, you know what? We can start a program, but we can't pay for it until we budget it. And that won't happen until January. Okay, great. Is the affiliate willing to do that? Yes or no? If no, no problem. We'll continue to work to make sure the funding's there.
Let's find a grant. Let's find a grant that can bridge the gap.
That's right.
Exactly. And then they find the success. So the affiliate that ring in with the mental health board, they started, I think they budgeted 8 for the first year. Their news station, local news, just did a story on them mid-May their 1 year anniversary of the program, 8 kids graduating, 25 starting.
Yeah.
They jumped from 8 to 25 because of the success of 8 kids in 1 year.
Yeah. So think about what that does to your monthly revenue.
Right.
Mhm.
At that point. I know it's not about money.
But what time of day are they coming in to?
They come in about a half an hour after school's out.
Yeah, which is a low traffic time, and
Right.
Typically.
Right.
so it's the second affiliate owner's dream, right? You're first of all, you're helping,
You're saving lives,
literally saving lives of young people that are going to have an impact on other people. Like it's going to carry over for many, many years, right? Because they're going to remember this experience and see how important fitness is in their lives and change their lives. So you're going to it's exponential help, right? Over many generations. Then you get paid for it.
Right.
So you're getting revenue to the gym, and now you're filling a gap at a time of the day when the gym's really not being used.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the fourth benefit is they're going home and they're telling everybody else about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And the whole thing's just freaking amazing.
Yeah.
It does require work. It requires some admin and like you got to hump. But it's like for me, it's I spend an hour. Matt's probably gonna Debbie and Matt are gonna get mad at me, but I spend maybe an hour a week, right? Kind of focusing on this, seeing what my next steps are, right? Like combined an hour of concentration. I got an hour a week.
Yeah.
And if I spent more, I could probably be more persistent with certain people within the organization. There is a fine line. I'm sure Debbie knows what that is. It's like being a pain in the ass with accounting to where you piss them off so much they don't want to deal with you.
They gotta hear
it. Or there's and then being just the right amount of it.
Right.
A
sweet spot
of pressure. Yeah, there's a sweet spot there. I'm trying not to be that guy.
Yeah.
On either end of that. So.
Yeah.
And if you think about when's the last time, how much work did you have to put in to go recruit your last 25 new members?
All right. Right. Yeah, this is so cool. I mean, I get excited about it. And then I wonder, why the hell did CrossFit abandon their support for this project?
Let's keep it positive.
That CrossFit's working on other things, and so we'll let them do that. And
just provides more opportunity for you guys, right?
Yeah, more opportunity for these guys.
You've been leading this whole effort. I mean, some amazing stuff. Literally saving lives.
No, Matt and Debbie have never once asked me for anything to do it. So I'm putting them on a podcast. It's kind of like to offset any payment I might owe them. Remember?
Yeah, that's right. It's no different. I see Dale in the notes. It's no different than what Dale's doing. Dale King's doing.
Yes.
His program, the Addictive Services.
Yes.
If you don't ask, you'll never know. So why not?
Right.
I'd rather get a no than have a question mark.
Dale King literally has his affiliate set up in an addiction center, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep. So, and if he never asked, if he never put himself out there, he would have never known, nor would we have.
Yeah.
So let's beat the stereotype of we can't go after institutions, and I would call it state or federal government institution. No. What if you don't ask, you don't know.
It's we've been at this for CrossFit's been at it, almost 12, probably 20 years now, and a lot of most affiliates. I think the average age of affiliate now is probably somewhere near 10 years.
Yeah.
And people just get we all know the benefits of CrossFit. We're religious about it, but we can only tell our family and friends so many times before they get tired of us, and we start to think, well, maybe we start to have self-doubts about, can people do this? Is it really the best methodology? Is it, I'm not saying people breaking down my doors to come in here. You got to continue to sell this. Like you have to, and you have to have faith. This is working. This does change people's lives. It is happening. And you got to be persistent about it.
Yeah. You
got to stay on it. You got to keep this is one of the things I tell affiliate owners. How you been successful? Well, we're 17 years, but I still don't take my foot off the gas. Like I never.
There's no coasting available.
There's no coasting, but that's I think that's with any small business.
Yeah.
But especially with CrossFit gyms, you can't take your foot off the gas. And with a program like this, you can't take your foot off the gas. And you will change lives, and it'll start to build momentum. And pretty soon you'll be like Matt, Debbie, where you've got 15, 20 kids coming in 5 days a week into their gym, and then you got the state begging you to set up a program within the prison system. It's probably gonna. There's times when I talk to Matt, and he sounds like he's almost overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that they've got to deliver for the state of Ohio and what the potential is weren't they were talking about their prison system, they're talking about CHP, they were talking about like, it's crazy and it'll start to multiply, because what happens, you get all these people who get that, crazy CrossFit cult religion.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden they're like, holy crap.
Once everybody tastes the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, once they taste Kool-Aid. And then for them, it's once they see the results.
Yeah.
When they start seeing the results and seeing what these kids are doing and what these adults are doing with it and how it's changing their lives, it's going to be, and that's why we can't stop. I know we're 20 years into this, affiliate owners and people doing CrossFit. I know we're 20 years in. We've got another 20.
Yeah.
We got another 20.
Oh, yeah.
We got to keep our foot on the gas. And after that, at the end of that, we'll probably got another 20 after that.
Yeah. And Don, you're absolutely right. I think Don mentioned this. Don Powell said this at some point. Their goal by 2030 is to have, X amount of 30 million. People inside of an affiliate, right? So how do you do that? How do you grow affiliates? How do you grow the members inside of your affiliate? Well, here's a program that will help that. And then how do you grow affiliates? You add more members into your program. And gosh, we've got a program that will help you add. So does Dale King. And it takes one person. And I think we all know that. It takes that the first time you walked into a CrossFit affiliate, it takes one person. And I'll give a shout out to Coach Chrissy as we finish up here. One of the young men inside of the walls of the prison, we've been in there a month now, right? Last week, coming out of it, he was like, hey, can I do a class on Saturday? Come up to Coach Chrissy and I. And we're like, yeah, here's a young man that is an inner city kid, Youngstown, one of the poorest communities in the state of Ohio with the highest crime rate. Okay. This young man's been in prison for 3 years. He's been shot multiple times and lost 2 of his best friends from that same shooting. Okay.
Oh, wow.
He gets out in October, right? Kid's got nothing to go back to. Very quiet. Came up to class, moves really well, and listens. Came up and said, hey, guys, can I run a class on Saturday? So Coach Christie stepped in. Absolutely. We wrote up on the whiteboard, here's your workout. Walking out of it going, we'll see. Now remember, on Saturday, realistically, this is a voluntary program for these kids. Mm-hmm. They can show up or not. Okay, it's not mandated. They're already in prison. What are they going to do? Throw them in prison? So they can show up or not. Right. On Saturday, this kid organized himself and 10 other inmates to do a workout that we helped him develop completely on his own with no direction from a single individual inside of that state prison. Okay. The superintendent's like, that has never happened organically through a single program. He's been in the prison system for 32 years. And here's a kid that gets released in October that stepped up, that has a really rough background, that says, hey, it starts with me. Can I do this? And that's what this is all about at the end of the day.
Makes it all worth it.
Right.
100%. What a great, I didn't even have to prompt you to bring up that story to end this whole thing. It's almost emotional.
That's amazing.
He's like literally like that might be the best like sign off story we've ever had in like 36 podcasts.
There you go.
That is freaking awesome. Like I get chills thinking about that. That's what we want. And every single affiliate owner, like 100% affiliate owners, that story will resonate with them. 100% of affiliate owners, that story will resonate. All right, cool, man. Great story. So your contact information's on here. We'll put it in the notes for the podcast as well. You guys are awesome, and thank you. I know you guys have been through a lot. Especially over the last 2 months with respect to your relationship with CrossFit. And I admire that you're continuing to motor on and help and support other affiliates in setting these programs up and continuing to provide an incredible resource in the state of Ohio as well. So
just for the future of the kids and
hats off
and everything.
Yeah, it's just outstanding. So you're you guys are kind of that you guys are that North Star that Nicole Carroll talks about. You're one of those. You're right there, man.
Yeah,
and it's inspirational. It's inspired me to start a program, what I'm going to commit to you is I'm going to bring you other affiliates in the state of California.
Awesome.
I'm going to deliver those to you.
Awesome.
And
Thank you for you guys.
there.
What you guys do.
Yeah. Right on.
Thank you for coming on and sharing everything.
Yeah.
Very insightful.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, guys.
That's it, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening to our podcast.
Till next time.
Yep.